Or is it okay like this? Check, check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Or is it okay like this? Check, check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Dun 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 dun.
Contrary to the common Iranian filmmakers who pick out in their movies the Iranian government and jurisdiction, as well as social problems as central themes, and so gaining recognition in European and American film festivals, Andy Digger, the Swiss-Iranian screenwriter, photographer and filmmaker, who spent more than half of his life in Europe and knowing intensively the negative and positive sides of both social systems, is examining the European society carefully and with keen eye.
My name is Andy Digger, and I am a Swiss-Iranian screenwriter, photographer, and filmmaker. The title of my film today is Think Twice, and it can be assumed that I will make myself unpopular with some. However, it is in no way my intention to offend any group, person, or creed, or to hurt their feelings and beliefs. This film is based on research, facts, and already published documents, most of which were unknown to you until now. Your outlook on life and perspective will change fundamentally afterwards. Basically, many adherents of heroes, human figure or country, don't have detailed knowledge about their heroes, their true life, and their past. People are always looking for myths and idols. They do not want to admit that their idols are not what they represent and what people want to see. Today you will experience what connections, or in other words, what similarities and parallels exist between the slave trade, neutral Switzerland, and the creation of some Swiss banks, Che Guevara with Irish roots and multimillionaire Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, or Adolf Hitler and the Iranian government leader Ayatollah Khomeini with Indian roots, and Ayatollah Khamenei with Iraqi roots, as well as Napoleon with Turkish President Erdogan. I did not choose these topics by chance, but I was always involuntarily, directly or indirectly confronted with these topics and sometimes had extremely bitter experiences. Adolf Hitler, known as Hitler, was dictator of the German Reich from 1933 to 1945. He was a German politician and leader of the German Nazi Party. The following is an incomplete summary of the atrocities of this person which cannot be put into words. Creation of a new world according to his ideas and ideology. Responsibility for World War II and the resulting 60 million war dead. Race madness of the German Aryans as the best race of the world. Responsibility for the murder of 5.6 to 6.3 million Jews. Responsibility for his euthanasia project. Persecution and murder of Sinti and Roma and Jehovah's Witnesses. And condemnation of homosexuals. In 2 chapters of my life, I was confronted with Hitler. In the first chapter, as a youth in Iran under the Islamic Republic of Iran under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini. Back then, at school and in the media, Hitler and his nation were constantly portrayed as our brothers for their anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish propaganda, and the murder of Jews, as heroes and role models, and the German nation for its Aryan propaganda. In the second chapter of my life in Europe, especially Germany and Switzerland, I had to note that Hitler was a criminal and not a hero. The Iranians and Germans are neither brothers nor sisters in the sense of Aryans. It is also horrible that in Germany and Switzerland there are still people who officially call themselves Nazi followers. Or another minority that presents themselves liberal and cosmopolitan under the guise of a certain Uncle Adolf Gen and his ideology. This can be seen in the behavior of authorities, neighbors, or certain persons who have a power function and abuse it against fellow human beings from other cultures, but also against compatriots who do not fit into their pattern. The fact is that Hitler was Austrian, not German. He was born in Braunau am Inn. Well, in relation to Hitler's family and its past, it is hardly known that many traces of his Jewish ancestors, or evidence pointing to psychological conspicuities in his family, had been deliberately blurred by Hitler himself and his adherents. Even his cousin Aloysia, suffering from mental illness, is gassed by order of Hitler in the euthanasia program. Hitler's goal was that his own myth would live on in the future and after his death. That is why he ordered Julius Schaub in 1945 to destroy safes with his private correspondence. He wanted to destroy all information about his private life, since a secret dossier from Himmler also revealed that Hitler's family members, half mad, half idiots, lived in Austria who had cases of mental illness in their hereditary strain. Hitler reports to the German and not the Austrian troops at the outbreak of World War I. When his German comrades asked him about his family members, he denied his family. He deliberately dodged when he was asked about his parents or wife, or replied that he no longer had anyone. In 1932, the genealogist Karl Friedrich von Frank agreed to provide Adolf Hitler with a cleaned pedigree. Frank lived at Senftegg Castle in Austria, where years later Hitler's pedigree documents of over 1,200 pages were found in a secret hiding place in the castle's library. Hitler's family did not in any way correspond to the Aryan ideal prescribed by Adolf Hitler himself. Hitler's father, Alois Schicklgruber, was an imperial and royal customs officer, proud of his profession and brutal to his family. He was born out of wedlock, per matrimonium subsequens, which means rewritten in the name of the father. The legitimation by subsequent marriage means the recognition of an illegitimate child by the later marriage of the mother. Therefore, Hitler's father later registered a Georg Hiedler, a Jewish surname, as his father after he had already been dead for 20 years. In a nebulous action, Hitler's father calls himself Alois Hitler instead of Hiedler, the Jewish name. This is the birth of the name Hitler, which is derived from Hiedler and Hitler. The ancestral line and family tree is published by Hitler himself from which a name of a Solomon emerges, a Jewish name that can be found on Jewish tombstones such as Hitler. Hitler was afraid of evidence of Jewish ancestors in the family, which would have been an absolute disaster for him, because his grandnephew William Patrick Hitler, who knew about this family secret, blackmailed the Führer with this knowledge. Also, his sister Paula lived at Hitler's request under a false name, Paula Wolf.